I drove for a living, not taxis, not Uber. I mapped roads. I worked for a navigation company you've never heard of, the kind that sends one car down every documented route to verify what the satellites see against what actually exists. I spent 11 hours a day behind the wheel, a camera on my dash, a tablet mounted to the windshield showing me streets that hadn't been driven in years. My job was simple: follow the route, document anomalies, report back. I was good at it. I liked the solitude. I liked knowing exactly where I was, even when the roads got narrow and the trees got thick. Especially then. My territory was the stretch of Highway 9 that cuts through what the locals call the Hollow. You've probably never been there. Most people haven't. It's the kind of place you only find if you're already lost, or if your job requires you to map the unmapped. The company gave me a list of roads to verify. Most were dirt. Some were old logging trails that hadn't seen a truck since the 80s. I had a routine. I'd punch the coordinates into the company GPS, follow the blue line, and mark whether the road was passable, washed out, or gone entirely. 99% of the time, the road was exactly where the map said it would be. Boring, reliable, empty. But on the third Tuesday of October, the GPS showed a road that wasn't on my list. I noticed it at 2:14 in the afternoon. I was at mile marker 47, where the asphalt gives up and the dirt begins. My route for the day was finished. I had 3 hours of daylight left and a full tank of gas. I was about to head back to the motel when I glanced at the tablet and saw it. A thin gray line branching off the main road like a vein. It wasn't part of my assignment, it didn't have a name, it didn't have a number, but it was there on the screen, clear as anything, winding east into the trees for approximately 6 miles before terminating at a small black dot. The dot was labeled with a single word: home. I stared at it for a long time. I checked my other apps. Google Maps showed nothing but forest. Apple Maps showed nothing but forest. The paper survey maps in my glove compartment showed nothing but forest. But the company GPS, the one tied to the satellite we used for verification, showed a 6-mile road and a building at the end of it called home. I should have ignored it. I should have driven back to the motel, filed my report, and forgotten what I saw. That's what the handbook says. Verify assigned routes only. Unmapped anomalies are not your concern. But I had 3 hours of daylight, a full tank of gas, and a curiosity that had always been stronger than my common sense. I turned the wheel. The road was there. I don't know how else to say it. One moment I was looking at a wall of pine trees and undergrowth, and the next I was on a dirt track wide enough for one vehicle. It wasn't new. The ruts were deep, packed down by years of tires. Weeds grew in the center hump, but not enough to obscure the path. Someone had been driving this road regularly for years, maybe decades. The GPS tracked me perfectly as I went, the blue dot crawling along the gray line, mile by mile. The trees closed in, the light changed. It wasn't just that it got darker, it got wrong. The shadows angled in directions that didn't match the sun. I checked my rearview mirror and I couldn't see the highway anymore. Just more trees, more road, more distance that shouldn't have existed. At mile 3, I found the first sign. It was wooden, hand-painted, nailed to a tree at the edge of the road. It read, "No signal beyond this point." I laughed when I saw it. I had full bars. The GPS was tracking me in real time, but I looked down at the tablet and the screen was blank. Not loading, not searching, blank white. I tapped it. Nothing. I checked my phone. Same thing. Full bars, no data. The GPS app was still running, still showing the blue dot moving along the gray line, but the map underneath it had vanished. Just the road, just me, just the word home, 6 miles ahead. I kept driving. I tell myself now that I should have turned around. But the road was too narrow to turn around. I would have had to reverse for 3 miles. I told myself I'd drive to the end, find whatever was there, and loop back. That was the plan. That was the lie I told myself. At mile 5, the road changed. The dirt became gravel. The gravel became something else. Something smooth and pale, like bone dust packed tight. It crunched under my tires in a way that made my jaw ache. The trees thinned out. Not because the forest ended, but because they were dead. Every tree for 200 yards was gray and leafless, standing in perfect rows like fence posts. I had never seen a forest like it, not burned, not logged, just dead, as if something had passed through and taken the life from them without disturbing their shape. The road ended at a clearing. And in the clearing was a house. It wasn't old, it wasn't abandoned. It was a single-story ranch house with white siding, a 2-car garage, and a porch light that was on. The lawn was cut, the driveway was empty. The black dot on my GPS sat directly on top of it, pulsing gently, still labeled home. I sat in my car for 10 minutes with the engine running, staring at a house that didn't exist on any map except the one in my hand. The porch light flickered once, not an electrical flicker, a deliberate blink, like an eyelid. I got out of the car. I don't know why. I think part of me still believed I would find a rational explanation. A hidden cell tower, a remote research station, a hermit who liked his privacy. But the air smelled wrong. It smelled like copper and wet stone, like the inside of a clock that hasn't been opened in 100 years. I walked up the driveway. The bone dust gravel crunched under my boots. I reached the porch steps. There were 3 of them. The first 2 were wood. The third was metal. Cold, brushed steel, with a small engraved plate that read, "Welcome home, David. My name is David. I don't use my name in my work. It's not on my uniform. It's not on my vehicle. It's not in the company database tied to my employee ID." I had never told anyone in the hollow my name, but the step knew it. The house knew it, and when I read the plate, the porch light flickered again, and the front door unlocked with a sound like a bone snapping. I should have run. I know I should have run. But the door opened inward, and the hallway inside was lit with the exact same warm yellow light I remembered from my grandmother's house in Michigan. The same wallpaper, the same smell of cinnamon and old books. A home I hadn't seen in 20 years, replicated perfectly in a clearing that didn't exist, at the end of a road that wasn't on any map. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me. I didn't hear it close. I just knew it was closed because the sound of the forest stopped. Completely. No wind, no insects, no creak of wood. Just silence and the hum of a refrigerator I couldn't see. The hallway stretched further than the house should have allowed. I counted my steps. 14 paces to the kitchen, 14 more to the living room, 14 more to a door that shouldn't have been there, a basement door in a house built on a slab. The door was steel. It had a keypad. Above the keypad, a small screen displayed a message in green text. It read, "You have arrived. Please verify your destination. Enter code to continue." I didn't know the code. I pressed random numbers. Nothing. I pressed my birthday. Nothing. I pressed the employee ID number from my company badge. The screen changed. It read, "Route verified. Welcome home, driver 847. Please proceed to the basement for your final stop." I don't remember opening the door. I remember the stairs. They went down too far. Ranch houses don't have basements that deep. I counted the steps. I stopped counting at 200. The air got colder. The walls changed from drywall to something smooth and white, lit by fluorescent panels that buzzed at a frequency that made my teeth hurt. And then the stairs ended, and I was in a room that was vast, the size of a warehouse, the size of a cathedral, the size of something that couldn't fit under a ranch house in a forest clearing. The room was filled with screens, hundreds of them, floor to ceiling. Every screen showed a road, different roads, different states, different countries. Some showed highways at rush hour. Some showed empty dirt tracks in the snow. And in the center of each screen, a blue dot, a vehicle, a driver, and below each screen a label, a name, a home address, a final destination. I found mine. Screen 847. It showed my car, parked in the clearing above, engine still running. And below it the label read, David Carter, 742 Evergreen Terrace, Route 9, mile marker 47. Status, arrived. Next route, permanent assignment. I understood then. The GPS doesn't show places that don't exist. It shows places that exist for us. Places built from our memories, our fears, our need to find something familiar in the dark. The navigation company didn't hire me to map roads. They hired me to verify destinations, to find the drivers who wouldn't be missed, to bring us home, one by one, mile by mile, until the road ends and the house opens and the basement remembers your name. I don't know how I got out. I have no memory of climbing the stairs, no memory of opening the front door, no memory of starting the car. But I was on Highway 9 again, at mile marker 47, at 2:14 in the afternoon, with a full tank of gas and 3 hours of daylight left. The tablet showed my route as completed. The gray line was gone. The dot labeled home had vanished. But when I looked in my rearview mirror, I saw the road. Still there. Still waiting. I haven't looked at the phone since. But I can feel it in my pocket. Warm, like skin, like something alive. And I know with a certainty that makes it hard to breathe that if I follow that line, the porch light will be on. The third step will have my name. The door will unlock, and the basement will have a new screen, screen 848, showing someone else's car, someone else's road, someone else's home. The GPS doesn't show places that don't exist. It shows the places that exist for people like me, people who follow the road all the way to the end. And the end is always home.